You know, every single day we're clicking buttons, typing in boxes, and navigating through apps, and we never really think about it. But how does a click on a button actually do anything? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a language called visualbasic.net and see the exact blueprint that makes our software tick.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what VB.net really is. Then, we'll learn its special kind of grammar, which is all about something called objects. After that, we'll take a tour of the digital workshop where these apps get built, see how to make them interactive, and finally, watch how raw code transforms into a program you can actually run. All right, let's start at square one. What exactly is visualbasic.net? Well, you can think of it as a language that was basically born to build the apps we use all the time.
At its very core, VB.net is a tool for creating programs with a graphical user interface, a GUI. You know what I'm talking about. Any program with buttons to click, menus to open, and boxes to type in. That visual interactive world? VB.net is one of the main languages used to build it.
But here's what makes a language like this so interesting. It's event-driven. Now, a normal story, you read it from beginning to end, right? A VB program isn't like that. It just sits there. It waits for you. The moment you click a button or press a key, that's an event, and the program's code is specifically designed to leap into action and respond to what you did.
So, okay, if VB.net is a language, what are its grammar rules? How do you even speak it? Well, the trick is to start thinking about everything in terms of objects.
And this is the absolute key. Forget about confusing, abstract code for a minute and just think about digital things. In Visual Basic, pretty much everything you see is an object. That button on the screen? That's an object. The window it's sitting in? Yep, that's an object too. Just like nouns in a sentence, these are the things we're going to be talking about.
And this is where it gets really intuitive, because this whole system maps directly to English grammar. Your object is the noun, the thing itself, like a button. A property is just an adjective. It describes the object, like its color or the text on it. A method is the verb. It's an action the object can do, like a form that knows how to close itself. And finally, the event is what kicks it all off. That's the action the user takes, like clicking that button.
So, you might be wondering, where do these buttons come from? Are they just made from scratch every time? Nope. They are all stamped out from a master blueprint, and that blueprint is called a class. Think of the button class as the perfect, original design that defines everything a button is and can do. Every single button you drag onto your app is just a fresh copy or an instance of that one master blueprint.
Okay, so we've got our concepts, we've got our grammar, but where does the actual work get done? For that, we have to step inside the programmer's digital workshop, the Integrated Development Environment, or IDE for short. When you're coding in VB.net, you're not just staring at some blank text document. No way! You're using this incredible application called Visual Studio, and it's so much more than a text editor. It's like a fully loaded workshop with specialized stations and tools for every single task you need to do.
Let's do a quick tour, shall we? Your main workbench is the Form Designer. It's where you visually drag and drop and arrange everything. Need a new part? You just go to the toolbox. Think of it like a big cabinet full of pre-made parts like buttons and text boxes. Once you've got a part, you take it over to the Properties window to customize it. This is where you change its color, its size, its text. And to keep everything tidy, all your project files and blueprints are neatly organized in the Solution Explorer, which is basically your master filing cabinet.
All right, so we've built the visual side of our app. It looks good. But now for the real magic. How do we make these static pictures on the screen actually do something when somebody clicks them?
First, there's a really important concept to get. Every object basically has two names. It has its name, which is its secret internal code name that only the programmer uses, something like exit button. Then it has its text, and that's the public-facing label the user actually sees on their screen, like the word exit. Now look at this simple little line of code. This is a method, remember? It's an action, and if you translate it into plain English, it's just saying, hey you, the form I am currently on, close yourself. The keyword me is a super handy shortcut that always means the current object, in this case, the form. And close dot is the verb, the action we want it to take. Simple, right?
And that brings us to the million-dollar question. We've got a button over here, we've got a line of code over there. What's the invisible wire that actually connects a user's click to that me.close command?
The answer, the wire, is something called an event procedure. This is the critical connection. It's a special little container for code that handles one specific event for one specific object. So for our button, we'd have a procedure called something like exit button underscore click. And inside that container is where we put our me.close code. It's like a dedicated instruction manual that says, when this button and only this button gets clicked, run this code and only this code.
Okay, we've designed our form, we've written our instructions inside these event procedures, we have all the pieces. So how does this whole collection of blueprints and notes get turned into a single file that anybody can just double-click and run?
Well, to understand that last step, you gotta know that a program really lives in 3 different states. When you're in the workshop, building it, that's design time. When you or your customer are actually using the finished app, that's runtime. And if something goes wrong, if there's an error and the program freezes, it enters break time, which is a special paused state so the programmer can figure out what went wrong. The very last step of this whole manufacturing process is called compiling. The compiler is basically a translator. It takes all of your human-friendly Visual Basic code, translates it all into the ones and zeros that a computer's processor actually understands, and then packages everything up into one single, standalone executable file, that familiar .dxe file.
And there it is. That's the entire journey, from a simple idea to a finished, clickable application. So I hope the next time you click a button or close a window, you can almost see what's happening just beneath the surface. Can you see the objects, their properties, and the events firing off? You've just seen the architectural blueprint, and now you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Thanks for watching.